Good evening, boys. I'm here to give you guys the roundup on all the stories that have broken today. So we have quite a few interesting stories to get through. Before I move on, two quick things. First thing being, I saw the comments to yesterday's news video, and I saw that quite a few of you guys were a bit disappointed by the thumbnail and, using yesterday's video with Esteval in that Madrid kit. Now, when I did that, I wasn't doing it for like bad vibes or clickbaiting. It was more the fact that I want to tell like a story with the thumbnail, and there was like some relevancy between Esteval and Real Madrid, and that was essentially Madrid's regretting not signing Esteval. I tried to kind of do as much storytelling with the thumbnail as possible to kind of get through and summarize all the reports, but I can see why maybe some of you guys might have felt a bit iffed by it, but just wanted to clarify there wasn't any like bad vibes or intentions behind it. And for the second thing, my friends, if you guys are planning on buying any gifts for your loved ones this Christmas, I am your guy. Right now, the club have an amazing history book on offer, signed by either John Terry or Kerry Dixon. And for me, I think it's a nice little classy type of like coffee table piece. And you guys can get it for yourselves. If you guys do, use my link above in the card above or description. Use NICO at checkout to get a full 10% off your final order. And of course, have a look around to see all the amazing merchandise on offer right now, my friends. So I hope you guys enjoy the video. And let's tackle and discuss today's first big report. Now, we start with some interesting news courtesy of Fabrizio Romano. And we've learned that Philippe Jorgensen is considering leaving us in January. As Romano states here, Jorgensen considers potential January exit to get more game time ahead of the second half of the season. Decision is up to us. Jorgensen is open to a new chapter ahead of the World Cup playoffs with Denmark as well. So it's quite obvious that he wants to try and, force himself into the potential World Cup squads. And he's young, and I'd imagine when you're second choice, it can get a bit tiring. Now, Jorgensen hasn't played that many Premier League games for us over the last 2 seasons, outside of maybe Robert Sanchez having injuries and that rare moment last season where Sanchez was making too many individual errors and Maresca gave Jorgensen an opportunity to try and stake his claim in the team. He was unable to do that though, which was a shame, I guess, for himself. And I think from that moment on, outside of playing all of the Conference League games last season, we're not really seeing the real Philippe Jorgensen. I can respect that when you don't have any momentum behind you, no consistency of minutes. I guess maybe the pressure gets a bit too much, a bit too overwhelming. When you know that like every rare moment you get is like that one final audition. And I feel like maybe this season he's kind of been failing with that a little bit. I think this guy's definitely got some quality behind him for sure, but I don't think he'll be able to showcase that outside of Touchwoods. Anything bad happening to Robert Sanchez. I think for himself, it makes sense to kind of go on loan, get your minutes up, get some consistency, get some game time. He was very close making that move to Strasbourg before we decided to let Mike Penders go there. But at the same time, I feel like if you allow Jorgensen to leave in January, surely you have to bring in a replacement, right? Because we need to have at least 2 goalkeepers. And I think because we don't want to kind of disrupt the squads and the harmony right now, I'd be very surprised if Jorgensen was allowed to leave on loan or even leave the club in January. I just think that we're not going to sign a new goalkeeper. And if we did do that, it'll be like for the future. That could be Magnon, who we keep reading reports that we are heavily interested in signing this guy on a free. Maybe Jorgensen goes if there's a possibility to kind of pay like a mini transfer fee once we've kind of like agreed terms with Magnon to allow him to come to us, of course, in January. But I'd imagine that AC Milan would prefer to keep him until the end of the season. So I don't really see that hypothetical materializing. How do you guys feel about this situation though? Do you think Jorgensen should be allowed to go, or do you think he has to kind of tough it out and try and get his game up right now? Because I don't know, man. Obviously, playing the Conference League last season, he looked promising. But then you have to remember that he played against a very inferior class of opposition. Now that he's had more Prem games, like this season in particular, I was like, wow, this guy does not look suited to Premier League football. And I was like, maybe it makes sense because he's barely got any minutes consistently to really adapt to the league, right? I just felt like he looked so weak with his hands. It was giving me like Kepa flashbacks. And I was like, no, 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 no. Where's this come from? Because I thought he had a bit more promise that he was showing last season. So what do you guys think about Philip Jorgensen, man? Let us know in the comment section. But right now, we're going to move on to the next story as we got some interesting reports to get through involving club news. Now, we got some reports that came out today from the confidential piece courtesy of the Daily Mail. I find it quite interesting. I don't think at times that the news reports are always that gas, but you do get some interesting insight around things. And I'm going to discuss the key points we learned. Number one being, Thomas Tuchel is expected to contact Liam Delap to discuss what he needs to earn his first England call-up. Now, he hasn't scored a goal for us yet, but he has a lot of promise around him. Some of the biggest clubs in the country were after this guy's name in the summer window. We beat out a lot of competition to sign him, so he's clearly seen as someone that has big potential, right? But at the moment, his competition for the spot will include guys like Ollie Watkins, Ivan Toney, Solanke, and Welbeck as well. So there's a real big opportunity here for Liam Delap to try and get himself into that international recognition. Let's see what happens though. When you get an injury like this, it kind of slows down momentum a little bit. And as I kept saying, he'll need like at least, I think, another month to really find himself. But I think getting that first goal for us is going to be such a massive relief for him. But at the other end of the conversation, I also think to myself sometimes, but like when you're a striker for Chelsea, it's like one of the hardest roles, I think, for most strikers in the entire league, because you just will never get enough opportunities. You won't be that focal point in terms of finishing moves. You're more of an all-round focal point for the rest of your teammates. Other strikers fighting for that international spot, they have their entire teams playing towards them. And I think that can make a bit of a difference sometimes. So let's see what can happen. But it's good that Thomas Tuchel clearly has his eyes out on Liam. And there's still plenty left of this season to go. My estimations for Liam was to get around 10 goals this season. Hopefully he can get there and do that, because I'd like to see this guy in the World Cup next year. Now, we have another story to report, and we get some contextual information surrounding these Romeo Lavia links yesterday. Now, if you guys were unaware, or I'm sure you guys have realized, like half the internet was down for time yesterday. It was insane. A report came out from ESPN which I covered surrounding United interest in Romeo Lavia. I know that Romano, as the day went on, kind of came out with like a counterclaim, and I guess we're getting more insight now from the Mail. As it says right here, the version that this particular journalist heard from a source was that it was actually Jason Willox, United's director of football, who previously worked at City and Southampton, Lavia's two former clubs, who had asked about the 21-year-old's availability. Any conversations and others at the time will have seen a few names brought up from both sides, not just Lavia. Another player that was brought up was also Christopher Nkunku. So it's quite normal during these negotiations. You're going to kind of stress test to see, you know, who's available and what you can really get right for this player exchange to go through. Obviously, the club still value him. They still rate him. I'm still going to mention the point, though, that all these other reports surrounding other midfield players, I mean, why are we linked with any midfield players right now? It just doesn't make any sense unless, you know, you're just kind of just keeping your mind open around possibilities, because God forbid if Lavia gets back from this injury, then gets injured again, the same old conversations, man, they rear up yet again. But let's hope that he gets back now. There's still big promise around him, as I keep stressing. He is Maresca's protege, yeah? And for myself, listen, we've seen how Reece James was afforded that patience. A lot of you guys, or some of you guys, was of the inclination that you should sell him and sign someone worse. I'm going to offer that same patience to Lavia. I just feel like if he can get past his first 2 years, I have like a little bit of optimism that his body can kind of, you know, condition itself and get back. And I think hopefully then the injuries will kind of fall off, because I think there is some potential here. But the only issue is that without that consistency of minutes to iron out mistakes, it slows down development a little bit. So that's out of the way. And the final story involves Tyrique George. realistically, we could see him leaving us in January. I don't think the club would say no to pure profit, even though he is really starting to find his scoring position now this season. Of course, for the England under-21s playing up front, he's continuing his scoring streak, scoring against Republic of Ireland and Slovakia as well too. And we know that Fulham nearly came close to signing this guy for £22 million. But we have so much talent. We have Omega coming through. You know, we're going to be funding these future deals with the Cobham grads, unfortunately. So yeah, I am expecting Tyrique to probably leave us in January if a good offer comes in, or maybe leaving us at the end of the season as a plan B option. If he did go, could the club maybe allow Miyuka to kind of step up and get opportunities? I mean, 24 goals already this season. I've always mentioned there's this like Aguero type of quality to his game. And I think what's really helped him even more, probably even more than Tyrique, is that I'd say Miyuka is way stronger. Yeah, he had that growth spurt. He's filling his body up quite nicely. He knows how to use his body. He can drop deep. I think this guy is such a big player. And you have to realize, when we bought him from Brighton all those years back, yeah, he was seen as one of the premium talents in the entire country. So to see him starting to like show up now and come good, I don't know. If Tyrique goes, is that an opportunity for Miyuka to kind of replace him in the team? Let me know how you guys are feeling about this right now in the comment section, my guys. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next story to discuss, as we have some interesting news surrounding Cole Palmer. Now, today, my friends, you know, we got some nice little reports to discuss and to get through surrounding Cole Palmer. Now, Palmer, as we know, we're all praying that this guy is going to get back in time for the Barcelona game. But at the moment, it's looking a little bit techie. I don't know what happened there, you guys. I'm back now. I'm back on screen. But anyway, courtesy of Matt Law, we got a massive info dump surrounding Palmer's plans for us and also for the England national team squad. So let's kind of go through that. Let's kind of unpack some of these stories and reports. And as we know at the moment, of course, Palmer is desperate to become part of the England World Cup squad. After scoring that equaliser against Spain, yeah, giving England lifeblood to get back in the game and make something happen. You'd imagine, after we lost that final against Spain, this guy, you know, he wants to get back. He wants to right those wrongs. And he wants to be one of the focal points of the team right now. Yeah. Of course, at the moment, there's competition now from Morgan Rogers and from Jude Bellingham. But Tuchel has stressed that he's not going to bring like 4 number 10s. Outside of just Bellingham and Morgan, you know, got Eze, you have Phil Foden. There's a lot of talent fighting for few positions in the team right now. But rest assured, Tuchel has been having conversations with Cole Palmer. He has been in contact. So that is reassuring. For myself, I think the only main competition in the middle will be between Bellingham and Cole Palmer. But I don't know, man. I just think Palmer is someone who's a big game player that makes things happen. We saw that in the Club World Cup, where sensational game, sensational against Paris Saint-Germain. He just improves his teammates around him, and he just adds extra quality in the game. I think it'd be insane if he's not the first choice guy, yeah, in that England lineup. Tuchel's gonna have to try and, you know, maybe like use these periods a bit better, because the next time that England will even play together will be in March. And then it's only like 2 months away before the World Cup. And it's just like, you're going to have a situation where you're going to have to start using like the real guys you see being the guys to be the main squad for the World Cup around that time. And I guess we're all curious to see how Palmer's and Bellingham's and Saka's and Cole's can kind of fit in together, because we have a ridiculous depth of talent in the squad right now. And getting it right, getting the play style right will be absolutely key. So if Palmer's not at the centerfold of like all good things that England do, then I don't know what to say, to be fair with you. In terms of him being ready for Barcelona though, it's looking a little bit techie. It's looking a little bit touch and go. At the moment, there's belief that he'll be back for Arsenal, realistically. But for Barca, he will be assessed as close as possible. But my thing is, if he's not ready, yeah, to kind of start games from the bat against Barca, is there any point kind of risking using him? At least get him ready for Arsenal, where he can really come and really cook right. And then hopefully the Arsenal games when we see Esteval and Palmer together, that you know, getting that result against Barca and then knowing Palmer's back for Arsenal, that would be a movie in my opinion. So let's see what happens there. But the club have been very impressed by Palmer's application with his injury. It's like his first ever serious injury at the moment, and he's getting rated up really highly. He didn't have to get any surgery for his groin issues, which means that he has to be even more on point when it comes to, you know, doing all of his rehab, his training, and ensuring that he's, you know, at Cobham on time, that he's leaving late, that he's doing everything he can. And on top of that as well, you know, he's been about with his squad and his teammates. Every time he's played a game, he's been on the sidelines. Yeah, he's been with these guys the whole time, which is like another positive sign, because Palmer was getting rated up for him being the glue of the club, which I found really interesting to read, but it makes a lot of sense. Palmer is seen as that guy that can kind of unite all the different like age groups within the club, and it's not just players. That's like coaching staff, young and old. As it says right here, while Palmer is not one of the vocal members of the dressing room, yeah, he is part of the leadership group. He is that glue, and he gets along with people. Of course, his best friend is Tosin. He's forming a really strong relationship too with Esteval William, which is really nice. And he's an unfallible character, where the media, all that stuff, the outside noise, it's all noise. It means nothing to him. His focus is on the game, and he doesn't let that affect him. And I think that's why, like when he plays a game, like you guys are seeing the clips beside me, it always feels like he plays the game at his own pace, yeah? And I feel like the best players I've always seen kind of just have this effect of like playing the game at their own speed and their own aptitude. So, yeah, man, really positive news around Cole Palmer. He's going to be back at least before this month ends, which is positive because, bro, we have the December crunch time period coming up, Christmas time, and knowing that Palmer is going to be ready for that, it's essentially like having a new signing. So how do you guys feel about the latest around Cole Palmer? You guys let us know in the comment section, because right now we're going to end things with the final story by discussing the latest surrounding Nicolas Jackson. Now, who would have thought that Nico's time at Chelsea would have ended like this? At the moment, we're learning reports from Sport Builder suggesting that Bayern may in fact be adding to Nico's sorrows, because they report that they are unlikely to take up the opportunity to buy him at the end of his deal. Now, if you guys remember, we're earning around 40 million straight loan fee, but at the end of the loan spell, there's an option to buy, or obligation to buy at around £56 million if he plays at least 40 games in the season, which is a lot of games considering, I feel like as the season goes on, unless there's big injuries to players at Bayern, I just don't see Nico getting that amount of game time. Now, he's got 3 goals and 1 assist in 12 games. It's not terrible, but when there's like pressure on you to try and excel and remain at Bayern, you probably have to double the assists and double the goals at a minimum to get Bayern to even think about spending that money on you. At the moment though, Bayern are looking at other options. And one interesting option here is Francolino Ju from FC Midtjylland. And I think this is quite interesting because when you have someone like Harry Kane who'll be at Bayern for another 2-3 years, yeah, you're not going to spend nearly 70 million on a competition striker. Financially, it makes no sense when you probably have to reinvest in midfield. And maybe in defense, if Upamecano does leave and does potentially complete this move to Real Madrid, which would be annoying because personally, I'd love to see us making a move for Upamecano, but at the same time, I respect we got some really exciting young talent to come through, and I think Action can go all the way if you give this guy minutes right. So I don't think Bayern are going to splash the money on Nico, but the thing I'm predicting in this scenario is that I think Bayern, they will come with a counter offer. We're not going to pay the money you want. And the moment that he doesn't even get close to those 40 games in the season, you know, you're in a situation now, Chelsea, where you know next window, next summer, you can't get that 70 million you hoped you could get last summer. It's not going to happen. No club's going to pay that. So what's your next best solution? Make your life a bit easier by negotiating a lower fee with us, because we like Nico. His new teammates rate him a lot. They like him a lot. We feel like there's more to come from him, but he's not worth the money that you guys want right now, and we are under no obligation to pay it out too. So, you know, it might have to be a sit down and negotiate a new package, a new fee, which I think is the most realistic option at this point in time, because otherwise then, you know what I mean, what other clubs are going to sign him? I'm not too sure. And, you know, Nico still has plenty of time to turn things around. If he can kind of end the season at Bayern with at least double digits for goals and assists, and I mean like at least like 15 to 20, then you know what? Maybe Bayern might want to restart those negotiations next summer. So my friends, that's all the reports and stories today. Hope you guys enjoy. In the meantime, I have been working on other videos, so make sure you guys stay tuned. I do have a video on Barcelona, and there's also a mini series that I'm working on where, you know, I don't want to just like only just do the stuff I'm known for, reviews and news and stuff like that. But sometimes when I do the news videos, it gives me more time to work on the other projects as well. And I am doing a 3-part series talking about the future of Chelsea, what a 2030 predicted lineup could look like, and just breaking down like the top 10 stars under this type of Chelsea youth network. So it's put a lot of time and effort into this, and I'm hoping you guys will like it as well. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow with more videos. Love.